The IDF says it's launching airstrikes against Hezbollah in southern Lebanon. They're warning residents about potential strikes on buildings it calls military infrastructure belonging to the terrorist group. Meanwhile, in Gaza, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, his office at least, says the latest hostage body returned is not Israeli. Foreign correspondent Tom Soufi Burridge has the latest. Hi, Tom.
Yeah, Diane, these reports are just coming in that the IDF has been launching more strikes into southern Lebanon and issuing warnings about specific buildings which it claims Hezbollah, the militant group considered to be a terrorist group by the US and Israel and others, is operating in those areas. And the IDF is saying that it is carrying out this uptick in operations against Hezbollah to stop the group reasserting itself in southern Lebanon near to Israel's northern border. Now, it's worth bearing in mind that there's been a ceasefire in place which has largely held between Israel and Hezbollah over the last year. Hezbollah was greatly destroyed and degraded throughout months of fighting with Israel. But the deadline on a year-long ceasefire, by which time Hezbollah, in theory, is supposed to disarm, is coming up. And I spoke to an Israeli official recently, and they did indicate that, yes, Israel will potentially be launching more strikes against Hezbollah if the group doesn't disarm. And at the moment, there's absolutely no sign of that. Hezbollah is still a potent force within Lebanon. There is the Lebanese army controlled by the government. But most analysts believe that Hezbollah itself still has more weaponry, more force militarily than the Lebanese army itself. And therefore, the Lebanese army itself is not willing and unable to actually go in and forcibly disarm Hezbollah. The US has been heavily involved in that process. Of course, the other area in the region where the US is massively focused on now is Gaza. President Trump's peace plan is largely holding and progressing to some extent slowly because in the last few days we've had more bodies of deceased hostages. So there are now only 6 deceased hostages unaccounted for in Gaza. So 22 of the 28 have been returned under the deal. So there's progress there. And now the US is also seeking a mandate from the UN in terms of that international stabilization force. The idea that a peacekeeping force made up of Arab nations could be deployed into Gaza. But the key question remains, will and how will Hamas either disarm or be forced to disarm? That is the key question going forward. Diane?
Tom Soufi Burridge, thank you.